benefit from things that I contributed to. They don't get to keep it all.
When Leon Brown first appeared on the screen after years, viewers froze. No build-up, no teaser from TLC, no forewarning. A simple, close-up picture of Leon beside their mother Mary, eyes calm but burdened. And in that moment, all those watching understood that something was different. This wasn't the Leon fans recognized. For years, Leon Brown, born Mariah, the only child of Cody and Mary Brown, had vanished from the Sister Wives universe. No confessionals, no interviews, no cameos, just silence. It started gradually. First, fewer appearances on family episodes, then total disappearance after 2022. The same year Leon came out as transgender, publicly sharing their truth on social media before retreating from the spotlight. Their message was simple: I'm finally living as me. But behind that blog entry, sources now confirmed to us, was pain, deep cracks within the family that went far, far wider than identity. Leon's coming out, sources close to the Browns' production team now say, was not just about him. It exposed underlying tension between Cody, Mary, and even the show's producers. Cody was said to be afraid Leon's truth would change the tone of the show, while Mary pushed for acceptance and isolation. The result? A silent standoff that ended with Leon walking off set altogether. And for years, there was silence, unbroken until today. In the season 20 premiere of Sister Wives, Leon appeared, briefly and out of nowhere, at a family gathering filmed following Garrison Brown's senseless murder. It wasn't drama. It wasn't ratings. It was grief. Mary voiceover set the tone. Sometimes you don't get to decide what brings you together. You just show up. Leon's return sent shockwaves through the fans. Comments poured in within minutes. Leon's back? One of them posted. Another added, if Leon's there, something must have been seriously wrong. They were right. Something had. The Brown family wasn't mourning a loss. They were breaking apart. Behind the scenes, sources tell us Leon's return was not an accident. It was intentional. From a family source, it was that Leon had made a discreet overture in the weeks following Garrison's death, to Madison, and then Mary. They weren't coming back for the show. They were coming back for the family. Not everyone, though, was welcoming the idea. Production sources reported Cody wasn't given notice in advance that Leon had agreed to film a short scene. When he found out, one insider said, he panicked. He thought it would stir controversy. The irony? The moment aired anyway, and it became the most replayed clip of the premiere. Leon didn't speak much during the episode, but the few words they did say landed like thunder. I'm not here to fix the past, Leon said quietly. I'm here because family shouldn't only show up when it's easy. For die-hard fans, those words spoke volumes. Years of silence, years of whispers, and now, the beginning of something new. But why did Leon finally break their silence? Why come back now, after exiting the family's fame and the show's drama? And what was Mary working behind the scenes to get her child back in the limelight? Because according to one source, this wasn't just a family reunion. It was a comeback strategized many years ago before anyone even knew. And it began with a call that altered everything. When Leon Brown first appeared on the screen after years, viewers froze. No build-up, no teaser from TLC, no forewarning. A simple, close-up picture of Leon beside their mother Mary, eyes calm but burdened. And in that moment, all those watching understood that something was different. This wasn't the Leon fans recognized. For years, Leon Brown, born Mariah, the only child of Cody and Mary Brown, had vanished from the Sister Wives universe. No confessionals. No interviews. No cameos. Just silence. It started gradually. First, fewer appearances on family episodes. Then, total disappearance after 2022. The same year Leon came out as transgender, publicly sharing their truth on social media before retreating from the spotlight. Their message was simple: I'm finally living as me. But behind that blog entry, sources now confirm to us was pain, deep cracks within the family that went far wider than identity. Leon's coming out, sources close to the Browns' production team now say, was not just about him. It exposed underlying tension between Cody, Mary, and even the show's producers. Cody was said to be afraid Leon's truth would change the tone of the show, while Mary pushed for acceptance and isolation. The result? A silent standoff that ended with Leon walking off set altogether. And for years, there was silence, unbroken, until today. In the season 20 premiere of Sister Wives, Leon appeared, briefly and out of nowhere, at a family gathering filmed following Garrison Brown's senseless murder. It wasn't drama. It wasn't ratings. It was grief. Mary voiceover set the tone. Sometimes you don't get to decide what brings you together. You just show up. Leon's return sent shockwaves through the fans. Comments poured in within minutes. Leon's back? One of them posted. Another added, if Leon's there, something must have been seriously wrong. They were right. Something had. The Brown family wasn't mourning a loss. They were breaking apart. Behind the scenes, sources tell us Leon's return was not an accident. It was intentional. From a family source, it was that Leon had made a discreet overture in the weeks following Garrison's death, to Madison, and then Mary. They weren't coming back for the show. They were coming back for the family. Not everyone, though, was welcoming the idea. Production sources reported Cody wasn't given notice in advance that Leon had agreed to film a short scene. When he found out, one insider said, he panicked. He thought it would stir controversy. The irony? The moment aired anyway, and it became the most replayed clip of the premiere. Leon didn't speak much during the episode, but the few words they did say landed like thunder. I'm not here to fix the past, Leon said quietly. I'm here because family shouldn't only show up when it's easy. For diehard fans, those words spoke volumes. Years of silence, years of whispers, and now, the beginning of something new. But why did Leon finally break their silence? Why come back now, after exiting the family's fame and the show's drama? And what was Mary working behind the scenes to get her child back in the limelight? Because according to one source, this wasn't just a family reunion. It was a comeback strategized many years ago before anyone even knew. And it began with a call that altered everything. It started with one missed call. Mary was at her Utah inn, strolling through reservations, when her phone rang with a name that hadn't lit up in months, Leon. For a moment, she was frozen. They hadn't talked in weeks. Not because of space, but because of learning how to keep peace by keeping space. When she returned his call, Leon's voice was low but resolute. Mom, they said, I heard about Garrison. Mary's throat tightened. There were no scripts here. No cameras, no producers telling them what to say. Just two people on the phone, connected by grief. According to an insider close to the production, that phone call lasted more than an hour. They didn't talk about the show. They didn't talk about Cody. They talked about loss, about family, about what it means when someone who's always been part of your story suddenly isn't. And somewhere in that conversation, Mary said something that would change everything. It's time to come home, not for the show. For us. Mary's plea wasn't about redemption or ratings. It was about healing. Behind the scenes, she had been quietly pushing TLC producers to include more of the real family. Not just Cody's version, not just Robin's, the full picture. And for that to happen, Leon's story had to return, but Leon was hesitant. They had done so for a reason. Decades of filming, editing, and being misconstrued had taken their toll. Once they released in 2022, they received both public acceptance and private rejection. Fans cheered their courage. Cody, insiders say, didn't know what to do with it. He tried to stay impartial, said one insider, but impartiality was rejection masquerading as something else. Leon picked up on it, and that is when they departed. Mary, however, never relinquished. She stood up for Leon on the public platform, calling them brave and real, even as other viewers criticized her for not saying something about the rest of the family. Off camera, she'd tell producers, "I will not talk about Leon unless it's on their terms." That promise meant something. It built trust. And when Garrison died, it created an opening no one saw coming. Leon told Mary they'd been watching from afar, the public drama, the divorces, the heartbreak. They demanded they had seen firsthand how broken things had become and could no longer remain silent. Not when the family they'd grown up watching was self-destructing on camera. Within days, Mary contacted producers. She didn't ask permission. She ordered, "Leon wants to be featured on this episode." No questions asked, and a TLC insider says the call sent shockwaves through the network's offices. Some were ecstatic. Others were terrified. Leon's homecoming wasn't scripted. They'd been edited out for nearly 3 seasons. One insider said executives debated whether to air it at all. They knew it would spark headlines, the source explained. Leon represents everything Cody doesn't want to confront. Truth, identity, independence. Putting them back on screen means putting all of that back in play. But Mary stood firm. "If Leon shows up," she said, "you'll film it. You'll show it as it is." And she won. When cameras began rolling weeks later, Leon didn't act for the camera. They sat together beside Mary, on the edge but won. Producers held back. No retakes. No direction. Then, in one unplanned instant, Leon addressed the camera and uttered, "I didn't return to be watched. I returned to remind everyone that we were more than this." It wasn't loud. It wasn't emotional. But it was gut-wrenching. The mood changed on set. Even the crew members became quiet. Allegedly, a member of the Brown family finally uttered a truth not edited through Cody's lips for the first time in decades. Producers went up to Leon after shooting and asked if they wanted to return. They smiled slightly and said, "Let's see what honesty is like on television first." It was cryptic. But for the audience, it was enough. Leon Brown came back, not for the fame, not for the money, but to reclaim their story. And as news began circulating on social media, the fans couldn't help but ask themselves a chilling question. If Leon's return wasn't for the past, what future were they walking into? Because behind the cameras, there was another conversation brewing, one that could break the final myth of the Brown family. The episode almost didn't air. Producers described it as too real, too emotional, too out of hand. But when the episode did end up in the editing bay at TLC, a single scene caught everyone's attention. One no one ever thought they'd see again. It was during 2020 reunion filming, long before Leon departed, unknown until now, a spontaneous, uncut moment between Cody and Leon, recorded on a camera that wasn't supposed to be rolling. Leon, still going by Mariah in public at the time, was coming to Mary's birth defense after yet another of Cody's angry outbursts. "You speak of loyalty," Leon said, "but what you're referring to is control." Cody laughed. "That is not true," Leon yelled back, icy but even-toned. "Then why does everyone have to agree with you in order to remain family?" The footage never aired. TLC shelved it. Cody allegedly yelled for it to be chopped, saying it was disrespectful. But sources say Leon's recent comeback led producers to return to the drawing board, that illicit under-the-counter trade included. When Leon came back, one editor revealed, "We revisited what we had on hand." That clip hit like lightning. It showed who they were then, no longer willing to ask what others wouldn't. The return of that footage didn't just make Leon human. It revealed the long shadow Cody had cast upon the family for so many years. For despite his pretense to lead out of faith, there was something more like fear behind closed doors. Mary saw it too. She'd lived in bondage under that tyranny, smiling in her agony, begging pardon for existing in Cody's world. Leon's old words felt prophetic. The child's warning that adults wouldn't heed. But the biggest shock wasn't in the footage. It was in what happened after it aired. Within 48 hours, social media exploded. Clips of Leon confronting Cody went viral across TikTok and Reddit. Fans called it the most honest moment in Sister Wives history. Others said, Leon said what we've been screaming for years, Cody. Stayed silent. No interviews, no statements, just silence. Until he logged onto a private live stream meant for his fan group. That's where things went awry. Some witnesses, to the tape who spoke with sources, described Cody as raging with anger. He called the piece a manipulation, denouncing producers for editing old footage to sensationalize. But when one of his own followers asked him why he had demanded that it be taken off in 2020, his response was damning. Because it made me look bad, Cody answered. He tried to deflect with a laugh, but the damage was done. That single sentence, recorded and uploaded on the net within hours, fueled every conversation about Cody's ego, his superiority, and how he manipulated reality. And it all centered around Leon, the boy he had once referred to as too emotional now, the man who'd just crushed his last illusion of control. But Leon didn't gloat. In fact, they remained quiet again. No posts, no declarations for nearly 2 weeks. Then finally, one Instagram story appeared. Some truths take years to be heard. I'm just glad people are finally listening. That one line was enough to send fans spiraling, because it hinted at more. More secrets. More lies. More footage buried beneath TLC's archives. And according to one production insider, that suspicion wasn't wrong. There's more, the insider puffed. Conversation, confessions, entire scenes that were never shown. Leon knows exactly what's been hidden away, and they're trying to figure out what to do about it. Rumors ran amok. Was Leon going to spill the coffee? Were they going to take a page from Christine and Janelle and reveal the family's secret once and for all? The dynamics shifted for the first time in years. It wasn't Cody calling the shots. It wasn't TLC scripting the drama. It was Leon, the same, who had walked away and returned now with proof that silence is not surrender. And in the background, Mary knew it too. She first watched that old clip among all of them. She knew what it would mean for Cody. And quietly, she started readying herself for what was next. For if Leon were to open the vault, everything that the Browns had built, the belief, the home, the fame, would finally have to stand on its own, and not from an external force, but from within. It began softly, with a phone call Mary didn't expect. Leon's name popped up on her screen, one cold afternoon in early March, months after they'd last spoken, years after they'd last seen each other in the flesh. When she answered, she didn't get a cheery hello, just the calm voice of Mom. I think it's time. Those 4 words paralyzed her, because she knew precisely what Leon meant. Time to return home. Time to face the family. Time to break the silence that had lasted far too long. The weeks that followed were a blur. TLC producers scrambled, unsure how to handle it. Fans had been asking for Leon for years, but this wasn't the reunion anyone expected. It wasn't for ratings or nostalgia. It was for healing. The first meeting was set at a neutral spot, Mary's bed and breakfast in Utah. No cameras. No script, just mother and child. When Leon showed up, Mary froze. She'd seen the pictures on the internet, the wedding shots, the gentle smiles. But this was different. Leon seemed strong, collected, unencumbered. And to Mary, it was paralyzing. They embraced, long and wordless, and filled with all the unsaid. Then sitting, Leon pulled out a folder. Inside were letters. Scores of them. Old ones from the family, some still unopened, some that had been returned, and one from Cody, years and years ago but never sent. Mary's hands trembled as she sorted through them. Why bring those now? She demanded. Leon didn't stop. Because I don't want ghosts haunting me anymore. And then it was obvious. Leon wasn't just there. They were clearing, getting the truth written down on paper. Not for the cameras, but for themselves. And yet, the cameras arrived. TLC heard about the reunion and begged Mary to allow a staged version to be filmed. Just a small amount. Enough to show Leon's return to the program. She was hesitant, but agreed on one condition. No fake drama, no setup lines, no forced crying. The result was one of the most chilling in Sister Wives history. The episode started with Mary alone in her kitchen, getting water boiling for tea. Then the door knock. Audiences saw the hug, the handshake, the faint smile breaking through decades of tension. It only took 1 minute, but said it all. Social media erupted. "Leon's back," fans screamed. Finally, some healing. But the calm wasn't to last, because when the episode aired, Cody was no longer quiet. He was furious. He allegedly called the producers, angry, and demanded to know why he wasn't told Leon would appear. "They ambushed me," he alleged. "They're attempting to portray me as a bad guy once more." But Cody didn't understand that Leon's return was never about him. It was about reclaiming family, on their own terms. And for Mary, it was the first time in years she had been proud, rather than afraid. The backlash continued. Within days, Robin reportedly collapsed on set, claiming the show was becoming an attack on Cody. But in private, she made a shocking move. She approached Leon directly. That confrontation hasn't aired. It may never. But sources close to production claim it was intense. Tearful and brutally honest, Robin allegedly said, "You coming back opened something in him, something he can't control." Leon's response was calm but cutting. "I'm not here to fix him. I'm here to tell the truth." That single line was enough to send ripples through the entire Brown family. Because the truth Leon was referring to wasn't just about their absence. It was about what really happened behind the scenes during those off-camera years, the manipulation, the alienation, the silencing. And one family friend, purportedly close to them, said that Leon wasn't done yet. "They have evidence," the friend whispered. Letters, recordings, messages, all of them. The things Cody wanted to keep buried. In the background, lawyers for TLC revved into high gear, speeding to determine what could and could not be broadcast. But Leon was not interested in airtime. They desired closure. So as the season progressed, fans began to notice something different. Mary was smiling more. Her demeanor was sunnier. For the first time in years, she wasn't seeming like the forgotten wife. She seemed like a mother who finally had her child returned. And while Cody was out there trying to maintain control of his persona, Mary and Leon were creating something stronger than any scripted storyline. Trust. But when word of Leon's quiet comeback got out, again questions began to circulate. Questions that would challenge the Browns into another round of drama. Why in the world did Leon actually decide to return now? What were they about to reveal? And what was Mary keeping secret all along that even Cody didn't know about? The answers were coming, and when they did, it wouldn't just rock the family, and it would threaten to end the show itself, because Leon's comeback wasn't just personal. It was methodical, and the secret they were keeping was about to rewrite the entire Brown family past. The air inside Mary's Utah Inn was still when Leon unfolded the first letter. It wasn't from Cody, but from Christine. A simple note written years ago, back when Leon had first come out. The handwriting was warm. The words weren't. "Leon, you're brave," it read. "But your dad isn't ready to understand this. Give him time," that was it. No love, no support, just distance. Leon didn't flinch as they read it aloud. They'd had years to accept it. But Mary's eyes filled with tears immediately. "I didn't know she wrote that." Mary whispered. "I did," Leon whispered. "She wrote and posted it after I stopped taping. I think she was frightened of him." Then came the second letter. Janelle's. This one was longer. Sorry, even kind. She wrote about her own children, struggling to keep peace in a family, shattered by belief and pride. She reminded him that she had respected Leon for walking out, but she closed with a threat. "Don't come back unless you're ready. For the spotlight to find you again, Cody likes to know what's coming. She doesn't like surprises." And finally, the last letter. Cody's. It was balled up, folded, written on thin paper that seemed to have been torn from an antique legal pad. The date? 2 weeks after Leon's public declaration. The handwriting was frantic, angry. It was not a love or compassionate letter. It was a list, a list of expectations, of do's, of don'ts, of silence. "You will always be my child," it began, "but you will represent the values of this family. You will not embarrass us, the show, or our faith. If you make that decision, you make it to get away from us." There it was, the ultimatum that had exiled Leon for decades. Mary's voice broke when she spoke. "He wrote this? He actually sent this to you?" Leon nodded. "He didn't send it. He handed it to me and told me not to show you." Mary covered her face, sobbing quietly. That letter had been a wound festering in silence. And now, with Leon back, it was finally bleeding into the open. "I wanted to burn it," Leon stated. "But I didn't. I kept it because one day I knew you'd need to know it." That moment, sources close to production say, was the emotional center of Sister Wives Season 20. But not the one fans saw. The scenes were edited out, sanitized, their names and context removed. The raw truth, Cody's words, his ultimatum, never did air. Rather, a crowd saw an emotional debate over rebuilding communication. The real showdown? Cut. But behind the scenes, producers were left reeling. A few crew members are said to have gone up to Leon afterwards, thanking them for being so honest and offering apologies for what had been hidden from the world. One even mouthed, "You told the story we weren't allowed to show." That was when Leon made a decision. If TLC wouldn't tell the truth, they would, in their own words, as explained to a close friend. Leon began collecting it all. Letters, emails, texts, voice messages. Everything documenting the years they were marginalized, excluded and shamed by the people who claimed to love them. They weren't staging a tell-all. They were staging something much more powerful. A documentary series on reality TV families. Afterlife. "People think walking away is peace," Leon said to an insider. "But you can't walk away from cameras. They follow you, in your reputation, in your family, in your silence." When Mary found out, she didn't stop them. She encouraged it. "You've earned the right to talk," she said. "Just promise me you'll do it with dignity." That support changed everything. Mary had been the quiet one, the loyal one, the woman who clung for all these years. But with Leon's return, her power started to show in other ways. She wasn't lying for Cody anymore. She was standing up for her child, at last. And meanwhile, word of Leon's project had begun spreading rapidly, too rapidly. Inside a few weeks, Cody heard. And as in the past, his reaction was out of hand. He called TLC once more. He accused the network of betrayal, claimed Mary and Leon were using the network's celebrity for their own gain. He even threatened a lawsuit, but what surprised everyone was Robin's reaction. She didn't defend him, not this time. Source from the production said. Robin said nothing on a conference call, then stated softly, "If Leon's sharing their story, then maybe we should hear before we strike back." Cody supposedly hung up. It was the first concrete rift between them since their marriage began. And it did not come from Janelle, did not come from Christine, but from the son he had long silenced. The family landscape was changing again. This time, from within, because Leon's return was no cameo. It was a spark. And now, that spark was about to flare into something much bigger. A reckoning the Browns could no longer escape. The envelopes were opened. The silence was shattered. But the truth was only beginning to speak. The quiet that followed those letters didn't last long. Only days after filming that dramatic scene, word ran like wildfire. One of the production team had dished about what went down, not to the tabloids, but to a fan-run Sister Wives forum, and once the fingers of the fans were on it, the internet erupted. The headline was, "Leaked Scene." Cody's letter to Leon wasn't love, it was control. The post went viral within hours. Social media was being flooded with comments numbering in the thousands. Fans were not only angry, they were horrified. "How do you write something like that to your child?" One fan wrote, another posted. "He's been hiding behind religion, behind the cameras, for years. TLC panicked, executives immediately called for an internal investigation. But they had no idea the damage had already been done. The leak wasn't divulging Cody's letter. It was taking away years of narrative control. The Brown family, once the embodiment of spirituality and togetherness, was now being dismantled, secret by secret. Privately, Mary was swamped with messages, some from fans offering love and support, others from within the family, ordering her to stand down. Cody called 3 times. She did not answer. By the end of that week, she got a message through a mutual friend. Cody's words were short, cold, and sharp. "You're turning Leon against us. You're doing what Christine did." Mary didn't reply. But privately, she told producers, no. Cody turned Leon against himself. That single sentence made it into the production notes and set the tone for what came next. When cameras picked up again, the tension on set was unbearable. Crew members referred to the energy as electric but dangerous. Cody was running behind schedule. His eyes were dark, his smile rehearsed. Robin arrived last, subdued, clutching her phone in her hand. Mary and Leon were already seated. It wasn't staged as a confrontation scene. The producers had planned something simple, a family check-in, a talk about rebuilding. But when Cody saw the envelope with the letters on the table, everything went out the window. "What's that?" he demanded, his voice piping with rage. Leon looked up. "Those are yours. And Christine's. And Janelle's." "You had no right broadcasting that on television," he snapped. Mary interrupted before Leon could get a word in edgewise. "They had total permission. You gave it to them." The room tensed. Even the producers were quiet. Then Cody leaned in, his voice trembling, not with fear, but anger. "You're trying to shame me." "That's what this is." Leon batted not a single eyelash. "I'm attempting to heal. But you can't heal that which you continue to hide." It was all on the cameras. But for the most part, none of it made it on the air. TLC cut around it, leaving only glimmers that hinted at family tension. What the audience witnessed was a father attempting to reconcile. What they did not witness was a man crumbling under the weight of his own tongue. That night, Leon posted something mysterious on their Instagram. "You can't demand respect while refusing accountability." The post gained over 50,000 likes in under 12 hours. The comments were flooded with support, from fans, from other reality stars, from LGBTQ+ advocates who had quietly followed their journey since coming out. But buried among the praise was one comment that stood out. It was from Gwen Brown. She wrote, "I saw what they didn't show. I'm proud of you." That single sentence was all the confirmation anyone needed for what everyone had suspected all along. The real life of Sister Wives was being rewritten by the next generation, not Cody. As the backlash mounted, Cody and Robin went into lockdown. They suspended production for 2 weeks due to family distress, but sources say it wasn't grief. It was strategy. Cody was trying to make a damage control special. He wanted to film a reunion episode to clarify the misunderstanding. TLC initially went along, hoping to calm the storm. But when Leon heard about it, they refused to play. Their message to the producers was clear. "I won't sit on a couch while he lies again." That rebellion struck deeper than anyone could have imagined. Without Leon, without Mary, without Christine or Janelle, Cody's family toy sat empty. Producers couldn't quite play it as redemption anymore. So they changed. Instead of a reunion, they started to construct a new spin. Not religion, not polygamy, but recovery. They wanted to witness Mary, Christine, and Leon start anew. And the twist, TLC initially reached out to Leon, not Cody, not Robin. The concept was simple. A healing from fame docuseries with identity, family dysfunctions, and trust restoration as the central focuses. Leon said no, but they didn't say no. They told the producers, "If I do this, it's going to be on my terms. No editing, no filters, no scripts." Behind closed doors, that meeting shook up the network. TLC executives saw something they hadn't seen in years. Potential for a new story that didn't involve Cody Brown's drama, and so the scales tipped once again. It began with a knock on the door of Mary. Early morning, silent. A delivery man in a brown coat, clutching a fat envelope with "confidential" emblazoned across the front. Mary didn't have to open it to understand what it was. She'd witnessed enough of Cody's methods to recognize one. But when she did rip it open, her gut fell. There was a legal notice, cease and desist, chased by no less than Cody Brown, through an attorney who had represented the production company for the Brown family in the past. The accusation? Defamation, breach of confidentiality, improper use of private correspondence to public advantage. That is, Cody was trying to silence her and Leon. Again. No accident that he did it then. Only a few days since word came out about TLC considering new show with women and the adult children, Cody took action. He could not hold Christine back. He could not hold Janelle back. But Leon and Mary, they were still held in the original contract. This was his last chance to hold on. When Mary called Leon, she was calm, but there was a bite that was undeniable. "He's afraid," she told him. "He's lashing out because he knows the truth no longer belongs to him." Leon wasn't enraged. They sounded drained. "I'm done letting him scare me," they said softly. "He can't erase what happened, but the truth was, this wasn't just about words. Cody was playing dirty. Behind the scenes, he'd reached out to TLC executives, warning that if they moved forward with the spin-off, he would take the family's name and image rights with him. In legal terms, it was nonsense. But in the entertainment world, it was leverage, and for a minute, it did. Production stopped. Emails stopped. TLC lawyers asked for clarity before continuing. For Cody, it was a small victory. For Mary and Leon, it was a reminder of how far he'd go to stay in the game. In the meantime, Christine learned what was going on. She called Mary that night. "What's happening?" she asked. Mary told her about the cease and desist, about Cody threatening her, about the abrupt silence from TLC. Christine didn't hesitate. "I've got lawyers." "Use them," Mary paused. "You think it's worth it?" Christine replied, "It's not about worth. It's about freedom. He's counting on fear. Don't give him that." Those words lit a fire under Mary, and for the first time in years, she stopped reacting to Cody and started fighting back. By the end of that week, a new legal team was in play. They didn't just respond to Cody's letter. They countered it, point by point. Their reaction was merciless. "Mr. Brown's claims are baseless." The said communications were voluntarily given and broadcast in a videotaped environment in accordance with contractual agreement. Any additional attempts at intimidation or stifling of participation will be responded to with harassment. In plain English, Cody didn't stand a chance, and if he kept pushing the issue, he'd invite one. When the backlash came down on his desk, sources say Cody freaked out. He called TLC headquarters directly, ordering them to intervene. But the executives were done. Babysitting. They told him something he never expected to hear. "Your story isn't the only one we're telling anymore." That line hit him harder than any lawsuit ever could. While Cody was busy spiraling, Leon made their next move. A short post went live on their Instagram. "Some stories don't belong to the person who caused them. They belong to the ones who survived them." It didn't mention Cody. It didn't have to. The caption quickly went viral. Major media picked it up. People, Entertainment Weekly, even E! News, headlines flashed. Leon Brown breaks silence after legal threat from father. And poof, the story shifted again. Cody was no longer the father figure. He was the villain in a story he no longer controlled. Behind the scenes at the network, the winds had completely changed. Executives greenlit the spinoff, but with a new name, Rebuilding Brown. The pilot would be around the wake of loss, the autonomy of the women, and the recovery path of the children from a shattered past. Christine was in. Janelle was considering it. Mary was in, and Leon. They were the anchorage. It was gorgeous. The child who had years earlier walked away, and silence would now be the voice that would lead the family forward. But not everyone was applauding, because when word of the new show came to Robin, she stood up for herself. And what she had to say next, even the network wasn't ready for. Robin called the executive producer late one night. An insider reveals to People. Her voice was shaking. She informed him she couldn't allow them to destroy the man she loved on television. She demanded that the project be canceled, or she and Cody would resign from all future business. But this time, the producer didn't cave. He supposedly told her, "Robin, it's not about destroying him. It's about finally showing what really happened." Robin hung up, and on the next day, she deleted all posts on her social media, once more. For the rest of the month, tension simmered through the family. Fans started to notice strange activity. Cody unfollowed 2 of his daughters. Mary posted cryptic quotes on letting go of control. And Leon? They said nothing. Stone nothing. Until one morning they posted a photo. An old photo. It was a photo of them as a child, standing next to Cody and Mary on the set of the early seasons. The caption read, "Some people remember this as love. I remember it as the beginning of a performance." The comment section erupted. Fans called it the most powerful moment since Christine's tell-all. And down in Flagstaff, Cody saw it. He didn't post a response. He didn't phone. But insiders familiar with him claim he hurled his phone onto the wall that night. Because for the first time in life, Cody Brown had lost control, completely, and what was about to transpire would make sure he never got it back. The following morning, Leon's post had gone viral. Robin paced inside her Flagstaff mansion. Her phone rang constantly, articles, references, fan fiction, and one of them flared across her screen in bold letters. Leon Brown speaks out. The truth Cody never wanted out. Robin came to a standstill. It wasn't the headline. It was the comments. Thousands of fans calling her out as complicit, calling her out as the enabler. The woman who stood over a lie all these years. Inside sources say Robin's reaction wasn't cool or composed. She cried, tears of panic, tears of anger. And for the first time in season 18, she verbally attacked Cody. "He did this to us," she yelled, according to reports. "He built everything around control. And now it's coming apart on both of us." The same day, Cody sat alone in the backyard. Neighbors said he was different, not angry, not boastful, just empty. He had stopped filming, stopped reaching out to the crew, and the only calls he was getting now were from TLC lawyers trying to figure out how to spin the disaster. Behind the scenes, the network had already made its decision. They weren't protecting him anymore. A source close to the production leaked this. Cody's name doesn't move numbers anymore. The women do Christine sells books. Janelle sells hope. Mary sells redemption. Leon sells truth. Cody sells drama. And we're done selling that. It was over. Robin wasn't ready to accept it. In her mind, they were still the center of attention, the heartbeat of sister wives. But on the phone to the producer, she was greeted with an unmistakable, stern response. "Robin, the story has moved on. Maybe it's time you did too." Those words cut through her like water on ice. She put the phone down, sat down, and breathed softly. If he loses this show, he'll lose everything. But the truth was, he already had. Across town, Christine, Janelle, and Mary met for coffee. Something that hadn't happened in nearly a decade. No cameras. No scripts. Just 3 women, talking like survivors of the same storm. Christine went first. "He's falling apart." Janelle nodded. "He's been falling apart for years." Mary looked into her cup. "The sad thing is, he doesn't even know who he's fighting anymore." Everyone's left. They talked about Leon, about how brave it was to return. Christine spoke for everyone else. Leon didn't return for the family. They returned to close a chapter. And in their hearts, each of them knew that chapter was Cody. The network lost no time capitalizing on the momentum. A teaser trailer was released just 1 week later. Beyond Sister Wives, the next chapter. The screen melted from grainy black and white video of Cody's early speeches on unity to modern images of Christine, Janelle and Mary living apart. Then one voice boomed over the final, frame.leons. You can only rebuild when you stop pretending the foundation was solid. Fans lost their minds. Millions of views in hours. Cody had no idea it existed until it surfaced on YouTube. He screamed to bring Robin to the living room. They used my footage. My name, my life. Robin tried to appease him. You signed the release. You don't own the past anymore. He slammed the counter. I built this family. Robin shot back. No, you broke it. The words lingered in the air. For years, she'd stood up for him. Now she was done. That night, cameras rolled covertly for the next season finale. But what they captured wasn't a family dinner or reunion. It was Robin, alone, on the couch, quietly crying as she spoke to the crew. I used to think that love was sacrifice. Now I think it was silence. The director inquired if she'd like to stop shooting. Robin shook her head. No. They need to see this. They need to know what silence costs. Meanwhile, all of that was occurring. Leon sat down with TLC's new producers in Salt Lake City. Their terms were simple. They'd return the following season, but only if the focus was on reality, not TV. No fake fights. No edited-out cuts that alter their story. Just the real thing. The network agreed, because by this time, fans were demanding just that. At the end of the month, the Sister Wives empire had officially split in two. It had been a quiet evening in Flagstaff when Mary's phone had rung. Leon's message. Couched. Urgent. Mom, we need to talk. Just you and me. Her heart had stopped beating. Months since the dramatic makeup. She hadn't thought she'd hear from him again so soon, let alone a message that was so abrupt. She walked to a small cafe just outside town an hour later. No cameras, no crew, no TLC eyes, just mother and son. Leon sat with a laptop bag on their legs. They were speaking in an even tone, but their eyes were burdened. Mom, they whispered, I found something. Something you need to look at. Inside the bag was a folder, thick, rumpled, and bearing a name that curled Mary's stomach. Cody W. Brown Holdings, LLC. Leon pulled out a wad of papers, pointing to certain sections. This has got nothing to do with the show or the property. This is what Dad was really doing with the family money. Mary's hands trembled as she flipped through the pages. Transfers, withdrawals, dates that fell into alignment with large-scale filming events, house purchases, and even birthdays. Where did you find this? She gasped. Leon didn't answer straight away. In the end, they said, Do you remember when I stormed off filming? When I told you that I needed some space? I wasn't leaving. I was searching. It turned out that Leon had access to something more than memories. Years earlier, they'd helped Mary sift through old family tax returns and emails. They'd copied them, not in animosity, but in routine. Something about Cody's behavior had always struck. Wrong. Now those records told the truth. Cody had quietly transferred family money into another account, under the business name, a bank, account that Robin had all by himself, none of the other wives. Every time he said there wasn't enough for a down payment, or that the show didn't pay as well as it once did. He was lying, Leon said. He was hiding it all. Hundreds of thousands. Mary stared at the pages with her eyes speechless. Why are you showing this to me now? Leon held her gaze. Because Christine and Janelle have to know. And because if you don't speak up, Mom, you're allowing him to get away with it. Mary drove to Janelle's the next morning. She brought the folder with her. Christine joined in on video call. When Mary laid out the papers on the table, the room was silent. Janelle leaned forward first. Is this real? Leon nodded. Every number verifies. Every withdrawal leads back to his LLC. Christine covered her mouth with her hand. So while we were arguing about leftovers, he was sitting on the profit. It all fell on the three women at the same time. The years of financial struggles, The manipulation of feelings, the shame of questioning him. It wasn't paranoia. It was strategy. Cody had been running a secret empire in their behinds, and Leon? They were the only one bold enough to bring it out into the open. By that evening, the word had already started spreading online. A past member of TLC crew made an anonymous comment on Reddit. "Something big is happening. Christine and Janelle have all the answers now. Leon was the one who came up with the receipts." The comment quickly went viral. Terms sister-wife scandal started trending everywhere on social. Media.fans flocked comment sections seeking answers. TLC, as expected, kept quiet. But the hurt had already been inflicted. When Cody got to know about it, he lost it. He called Mary first, screaming, demanding she hand over the documents. "You don't know what you're dealing with," he yelled. Mary hung up. Next, he called Leon, but Leon didn't pick up. Instead, they posted one final message on their private social media. "Truth isn't betrayal. It's accountability." That single line was shared over 2 million times. Behind closed doors, TLC executives met in a quiet conference room. One producer summed it up perfectly. "This is no longer a polygamy show. This is survival." They took the unprecedented step. Season 21 would begin with Leon's tale. No editing. No censoring. The episode title, The Hidden Ledger. But the real twist hadn't been broadcast yet, because at the end of Season 20's finale, filmed mere days before the leak, Cody was sitting in an empty field on Coyote Pass, talking to a single camera. He was shattered. "Everyone thinks they know the truth," he said. "Let them. I'm done fighting." Then, almost whispering, he added, "But if Leon thinks they've seen everything, they haven't." The camera cut to black. The screen faded and text appeared. To be continued in Season 21, The Reckoning. Fans went wild. Was Cody bluffing? Did he have dirt of his own? Or was this the beginning of his final fall? For the first time in years, Sister Wives wasn't merely an exercise in love and loss. It was a war of truth versus lies, parent versus offspring, and at the center of it all was Leon Brown, the stoic boy who once left in silence, now the voice who could bring the entire empire down. The air around the Browns had shifted. There was no going back. The image Cody had built for over a decade, husband, father, leader, was collapsing under the weight of his own lies. And Leon Brown, the boy he once dismissed as rebellious, had become the very instrument that could bring down his authority. In the weeks after Leon's revelation, the fallout spread like wildfire. Media outlets picked up the story. Cody Brown financial cover-up? One headline read, "Leon Brown reveals secret accounts," another stated. For a change, it wasn't Christine, Janelle, or Mary on the hot seat. It was Cody, and he wasn't handling it very well. Inside the Flagstaff home he shared with Robin, insiders said the tension was thick. Robin stopped filming, her kids kept a low profile, and Cody, formerly so vocal and brazen, was silent. Until one night, he wasn't. A grainy video surfaced online. It was Cody in his truck, recording himself. The caption read, "My truth." He looked haggard, his voice tense. "I built this family from the ground up," he began, "and now my own flesh and blood are trying to destroy it. People think Leon's some sort of hero. They don't know what's really going on." He paused, eyes scanning. "I have proof that this whole thing was planned, that Mary, Janelle, and Christine wanted this family torn, apart long before the truth came out. But viewers didn't buy it. The comments were brutal. He's deflecting. Again, classic Cody, always the victim. He's scared. That's what this is." Within hours, the video was taken down. In the meantime, Leon wasn't talking. They refused interviews, rejected offers from tabloids, and rebuffed all media inquiries. Their silence only added to the intrigue. Fans were desperate for answers. Then, on the Season 21 trailer, their voice appeared. Calm, controlled, but cold. "I left to protect myself," Leon said, "but now I'm back to protect the truth." The trailer ended with a shot of Mary standing at the edge of Coyote Pass, staring out at the empty land. Behind her, the wind whipped through the trees as Leon's voice echoed again. Everything he built was a lie. TLC promoted it as the most shocking season yet, and they weren't joking. Sister Wives. The Reckoning, Episode 1, broke all the records. Over 8.4 million people tuned in. Christine and Janelle sat side by side, reading from Leon's papers in front of the camera. Their faces were grave. No drama. No theatrics, just truth, Christine whispered. We trusted him with everything, Janelle added, and he gave us nothing but excuses. The scene cut to Cody watching the live footage. He slammed the remote down and snarled, "They're spinning it, but dates, signatures, figures, those didn't lie." The receipts Leon dug up told a story of manipulation, control, and betrayal. Mary stood by Leon through the confessionals. The first time in years audiences saw her cry. Not due to heartbreak, but release. For a long time, she said, I believed silence was peace. But silence was simply his power. Leon taught me that truth doesn't need permission. That line went viral. Thousands of women reposted it on social. Media truth doesn't need permission was a movement overnight. Women from polygamous and traditional families alike posted about manipulation and emotional control. Christine and Janelle publicly supported the hashtag even. TLC producers quietly agreed. It was the first time the show had created real social change, but Cody wasn't done. He wouldn't lose. As a last resort, he sued Leon and TLC for defamation. He claimed the documents were stolen. He claimed his ex-wives fabricated stories. He even claimed the network was biased. The judge dismissed it within days. The court cited overwhelming evidence of truth. It was the final nail in his legacy. Then the finale aired. The episode started with Leon and Mary at Garrison's gravesite. No music. No words for the first minute. Just silence. Mourning. Then Leon spoke. I felt that leaving was a sign that I didn't care. But leaving was the way that I began to love this family again. Mary extended her hand and placed it on the headstone and whispered, We lost so much. We're still here. As the camera panned out, Janelle and Christine became visible in the distance. No screaming, no crying, just presence. A quiet reminder that healing was possible. In the final confessional, Leon addressed the camera directly. This family taught me a lot about loyalty, but also how easy it is to confuse loyalty with silence. I won't make that mistake again. Fade to black. Then a final message came on screen. Dedicated to Garrison Brown. And to anyone who ever chose truth over comfort. Fans erupted, forums exploded. Best season in years. Leon saved this show. This was redemption. Even Christine posted something that night. Proud of my family. Proud of the truth. TLC executives couldn't turn away. They signed off on a new spin-off within days. Beyond the Browns. A documentary series following the adult children as they rebuilt their lives, free from the shadow of their parents' dysfunction, and at its lead, Leon Brown. As cameras rolled one last time on the Flagstaff horizon, the narrator,